Hello and welcome back to ChronoRoyals. This is Vespera, the channel where we deep dive into legacy, monarchy, and the timeless lessons history keeps on teaching us. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a single commentary, breakdown, or royal insight. And if you've been with me for a while, thank you so very much for being part of this very small and popular community. Your support truly means everything to me. And at the same time, I also want to let you know that I have not forgotten about you. I know I have not been uploading any videos as of late. However, that is not because I'm ignoring you or that I'm no longer in action. It's simply because I wanted to take some time to reflect, to think, and to analyze in which direction I wanted to take this platform and this channel, as well as to think a little bit more on the different topics that I wanted to cover on this particular channel. Because when it comes to the royal family, when it comes to the monarchy, so many people out there are already commenting and making tons and tons of videos. And so I feel that so many things have already been covered. Yet at the same time, sometimes I feel like they're missing the point. It's not quite exact. Or sometimes I feel like, oh my gosh, they're completely off track. Or, sometimes I feel like there are more emphasis that needs to be done on certain topics. And so that is why I have taken a little bit of time to really think. At the same time, I'm not going to lie to you. The whole Prince Harry and Meghan Markle saga is just starting to wear off on me in terms of fatigue. Not just on me, but I feel it across multiple platforms and multiple channels that people are generally tired of hearing about the constant Meghan Markle did this, Meghan Markle did that, Prince Harry is doing this, Prince Harry is doing that. And, I feel that these two are just so irrelevant to the royal circle that they don't even really deserve any attention anymore. However, because they're still part of the royal family, or they were part of the royal circle at one point years ago, their actions have produced consequences that they pretty much live with today. And those actions have also created consequences in the royal, or within the royal family, and how the public sees the monarchy today is partially due to the whole Prince Harry and Meghan Markle saga. So again, definitely not ignoring you, definitely not ignoring this channel, but just wanted to do a little bit of, quote unquote, soul searching in terms of what do I really want to bring you? What should we discuss that others have not covered? And how do we approach these topics with different perspectives? So now, today, we're going to get real. We're going to talk about something powerful, something raw, and perhaps a little bit unusual. Yet it's going to make sense. I promise. I know it always starts off a little bit weird, but I promise you this is going to make sense at the end. And so today's topic is going to be about pedigree, legacy, and the choices that shape an entire bloodline. And we're also going to see it through the story of two brothers, two wives, and two complete different outcomes. So if you're ready, go ahead and sit back, relax, and let's go ahead and dive in. In my culture, we have a golden rule. When you go out to pick mushrooms in the forest, You must know which are edible and which are poisonous. One mistake and the consequences can be deadly. Marriage is the same way. When you choose a spouse, you're not just choosing a partner. You're choosing a family, a bloodline, a pedigree, and ultimately, you're choosing the future for your descendants. Some unions nourish, others destroy. Prince Harry should have understood this more than anyone. Born into one of the most distinguished pedigrees in the world, blue blood, centuries of legacy, lessons passed down through generations. His grandmother, his family must have taught him the importance of lineage, of honor, and stability. Yet, when it came time to choose, he ignored it all. He thought love, lust, and personal convictions would be enough. And now, look, his life is the textbook definition of chaos. His reputation diminished. His children's place in the history uncertain. His choices poisoned by the very spouse he chose. And let's be honest about Meghan Markle. She does not come from a nourishing garden or forest. Her family is the opposite of stability. They're disconnected, disorganized, and stripped of traditional values. She was raised mainly by her father, Thomas Markle Sr., and for years her mother was absent during the most, I'd say, formative years of her life, the years when a young girl needs nurture and guidance the most. That absence has left a void, and when we see the woman Meghan Markle has become today, the instability makes total sense. Look at the pedigree itself. Every influence in Meghan's life comes from brokenness. Her father divorced. Obviously, her mother is divorced. Her grandparents, her uncles and aunts, majority of them have broken marriages. Her siblings fractured relationships because they too have divorced parents. Their mother and obviously Thomas Markle Sr. have also divorced. So there is not a single drop of stability within this Markle family or within the Raglan family. Meghan Markle herself was a divorced woman before she married Prince Harry. And who knows, she might be divorced again in the future, right? Nothing in her background speaks of stability. Nothing speaks of nourishment, of nurturing, of compassion. And the proof is in the fruit. Her life is a trail of instability, jumping from career to career, from brand to brand, business venture to business venture, without anchor, without permanence. Everything is temporary when it comes to Meghan Markle. And this is not the foundation of a stable spouse. That is the mark of chaos. And then there's the venom. Meghan invited not a single member of her family to her wedding, not one. Who does that? Who severs ties so completely that not even high school friends remain? Childhood friends, Girl Scout days friends. The answer is someone who is disconnected to her core. Look around. Her siblings fight her in court. Her sister fights her in court, unnecessarily, needlessly. Her brother ridicules her in public, creating a YouTube channel just to ridicule his sister to the core. I mean, come on. And her dad, even her father, chased his own 15 minutes of fame at the beginning of this whole union, right? And now he even stands as proof of a man who somewhere along the line failed as a father. You see, love, yes, he loved her. He still does. And that's what parents do. That's what fathers do. But he has played such a pivotal role in her life to where he had so unbalancedly, nourished her ego in a way that inflated it instead of giving her the proper, I'm kind of lost for the word, but the proper education to be a better person than what she turned out to be today. And she is a mushroom that grew in poisonous soil, as my grandmother would say. Like, she's from a poisonous garden, and she, all this and that. This is a poisonous soil. Let's not go there. And Prince Harry obviously picked her. Of all the mushrooms, he wasn't educated enough, or he ignored all the signs and picked her. And voila, here we are, years later, seeing the consequences of his actions, choices. And here's the tragedy. The Queen, in her grace, gave Meghan Markle the benefit of the doubt. Despite the poisonous garden, the Queen hoped this one mushroom might be different, that maybe Meghan could nourish instead of destroy. But Meghan, she proved to be the most poisonous mushroom of them all. She didn't just fail to adapt, she infected the entire family. She took one of the last pillars of stability, Prince Harry, and contaminated him. And for the Queen, who loved her grandson dearly, this must have been her deepest sorrow in her twilight years. To watch Meghan single-handedly dismantle the peace of her family, to watch Harry become a shadow of himself, must have broken her heart. Yet, that doesn't mean she stopped loving him. Disappointment and love can coexist. Only disappointment is generally heavier. So now we're left with the truth. Meghan's venom has spread so deeply that the only cure left is amputation. Sometimes when part of the body is too infected, too poisoned, you have no choice but to cut off to save the rest. And as brutal as it may sound, Prince Harry himself is now that infected part. Until he is cut off, until he is separated from the venom, until then, there can be no healing, no restoration, no peace for the royal family. Because poison doesn't compromise, it consumes. This is the cost of ignoring the mushroom rule. And I know I keep talking about this mushroom rule, but it makes sense. And now I understand why in our culture we always talk about, hey, don't forget about the mushroom, don't forget about the mushroom. It is so true, because even you, think about it, without having to Google. If you didn't have any access to Google search and all these fancy apps today, If you walked into a forest and you saw like a field with mushrooms, would you instantly know, or would you know which are edibles and which are not? Because how did people back in the days know when there was no technology, when there was no Google search or plant identification apps? You just had to know. And how do you know? It's because you've already picked the wrong ones before, and some of them have caused, bad health, and some have had grave consequences to their health. And so, as a metaphor, in my culture, we apply the mushroom rule to marriage, and somehow it works. It makes sense. It does. It's just weird, but it does. So this is the cost of ignoring the mushroom rule. This is what happens when you discard the wisdom of pedigree, of lineage and legacy. Prince Harry, born into blue blood, chose from a poisonous soil, poisonous garden, and now he lives with the consequences. The Queen saw it. The family feels it. The family felt it. But they had no choice but to accept and to trust in his judgment. And boy, were they wrong. Prince Harry was so wrong. The world watches Prince Harry and Meghan Markle on a daily basis. I promise, every time I go to bed and I wake up in the morning, Dan Wooten's already all over the place with breaking news today or developing story today. Meghan Markle, Prince Harry. Literally, it's something is completely wrong, at the same time, because I feel like, really? What have they done now? What's going on? Sometimes, obviously, it's just pure gossip. But sometimes it's like, oh my God, really? Did she really do that? And it blows my mind. It really blows my mind. And so, again, the Queen saw it. The family felt it. And the world's watching day in and day out. And the lesson is clear. In life, in love, and in marriage, always know what will nourish you, and always know what will destroy you. Of course, we cannot always know ahead of time, but in Meghan Markle's case, the signs were clear. They were all over the place. There were red flags everywhere. Meghan Markle is like if you think about it, Meghan Markle, she's just like a landmine filled with mines ready to go off anytime. And here's Prince Harry, walking on the mine like da 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 da, and thinking, nothing's gonna explode. Oh boy, was he wrong too there, So always know what's edible, what's not edible, what's good and what's not good for your soul, for your spirit. Now that we've covered the mushroom rule with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, we're going to switch over to talk about canines, dogs, and pedigrees. And I know you're probably thinking, what? What do you mean? I promise it's going to make sense. I promise you, okay? As a dog lover myself, I personally make no distinction like so many others in loving dogs, okay? Every dog deserves love, plain and simple. But let's be real. In the canine world, pedigree is everything. A full-blooded German Shepherd, a purebred Corgi, a purebred Shih Tzu or Dalmatian or any other dogs. These breeds that are purebred carry a value, a stability, and a recognition that mixed breeds simply do not. It does not mean that mixed dogs aren't good dogs. Many are wonderful. But when it comes to pedigree, it's undeniable. It matters. It's the rule of thumb. And the world, and in the world, of monarchy, pedigree isn't just a preference. It is the foundation. From the pharaohs of Egypt who married their sisters to preserve divine bloodlines, to the Chinese and Japanese dynasties that have intermarried cousins to keep power in the family, to the most infamous Habsburg dynasty, where uncles and nieces and cousins wed. History is full of examples. Right or wrong, the principle was clear. Pedigree protects the throne. Bloodline is everything when it comes to royalty, when it comes to monarchy, when it comes to dynasties. And this brings us to Catherine, the Princess of Wales. No, I'm not going to compare it to a dog, but metaphorically, we are going to, in some way. Okay. Princess Catherine, unlike Princess Diana, who came from the bluest bloodlines of their aristocracy, Catherine was a commoner. But here's the difference. Catherine may not have been born royal, but she was raised in stability. Both of her parents are together, not divorced. She has a brother and a sister who love her, not enemies tearing her down. Her friendships remain intact. She has no trail of chaos behind her. She comes from a healthy, nourishing garden. She's a good mushroom. She's an edible mushroom. Okay? She's a purebred. She's not a mixed breed. And Prince William, knowing the weight of his role, waited nearly a decade before marrying her, which obviously the public, the media, labeled Catherine as weighty Katie or whatnot. And that's ridiculous if you think about it. Because that patience, when you look back, when you think on it, that patience Prince William had was wisdom. He understood that the woman he married would not just be his wife. She would be the mother of his heirs, the future queen, consort, and eventually the symbolic mother of a nation and the Commonwealth. He had to be sure, and he was right. Catherine has proven time and time again that she is the nourishing mushroom, not a poisonous one. Look at her record. She's got 20 plus years under her belt at this point. And you know, her first duty was to give the monarchy an heir. And she did that. A male heir, preferenced, right? Then a spare, a beautiful princess, Princess Charlotte. And then another, Prince Louis. She did. 3 healthy children. The continuity of the bloodline is secured. Beyond that, Catherine has quietly won over not just her family, the royal family, but the nation. At first, I'm pretty sure many within the royal circle were defensive or even skeptical. But today, as we speak, as we stand, she stands respected, admired, beloved. She has become the edible mushroom at the base of the great oak of the monarchy, nourishing it with her stability, with her presence, with her aura. She has a nourishing aura that is unexplainable. Her presence is just unexplainable. However, that is not to say that She has endured relentless scrutiny over the years of criticisms, headlines, attacks, comparisons, being constantly compared to her mother-in-law, the late Princess Diana, being compared even to Meghan Markle, someone who doesn't even compare to her. She's been compared to other royal women. She's been compared to so many women of influence in this world. Yet, she stands so uniquely special in some ways. She sets herself apart from all of these women, from all of these royal women around the world, and women of power and women of influence. The minute you say Catherine, everybody knows that there's only one and only Catherine. The same way people know there was only one and only Diana. But when you say Meghan, well, okay, Meghan too. Okay, Meghan, as infamous as she is, yes. When you say Meghan, it's like, oh yeah, you're talking about that one. I know, but she's famous for all the wrong reasons, though. You know, she's something different. But Catherine, she has stood like a mountain. She has remained resolute. She's been firm against the winds of gossip and pressure. Like a lioness, she protects her children, her entourage, her husband, her family, while also serving the nation without ever uttering a single sigh, a single negative word. She has faced trials beyond compare, even cancer, and come out even stronger. This woman, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, is just an incredible woman. And it takes courage, it takes dedication and devotion to endure and live the life she's living. Yes, granted, she chose this life, but she herself has meditated long and hard, I'm sure, on whether or not she wanted to be part of this family, of whether or not this lifestyle would suit her, and especially if and whether or not she felt that she was fit for the role she would take on as Prince William's bride, as Prince William's partner. You know, this is what pedigree looks like in action. Not chaos, not problems or dramas or scandals, but endurance. Not venom, but nourishment. And Catherine is nourishing this royal family, this monarchy, this living, breathing institution with every fiber of her being, to the point where everybody's always just speechless. I'm always speechless because she carries herself in a way that I just have no words. No words. And also, perhaps most telling is how she respects those around her. Her devotion to her late grandmother-in-law, the Queen, was obvious. Her loyalty to her husband, Prince William, is unwavering. She admires her father-in-law, King Charles, and she respects Queen Camilla as her mother-in-law. Even if she's the stepmother-in-law, Queen Camilla is the only mother-in-law Catherine has ever known. There is grace, there is honor, there is stability in the way she carries herself. She has never torn ties, never severed her roots, never poisoned her surroundings. So here we are, on one side, you have Catherine, a tree of life, rooted in stability, nourishing all who stand around her. On the other, you have Meghan Markle, the venomous mushroom, spreading poison, destabilizing all that she touches. William chose with wisdom. Harry chose with impulse. And the difference in their lives, their families, and their legacies tell us everything we know or we need to know. And so, when we look at the story in its fullness, we see two paths, two brothers, two choices, two legacies. Prince Harry, born into the highest pedigree, discarded centuries of wisdom. He picked from the poisonous garden, and the venom has consumed him. His life is now a cautionary tale, proof of what happens when you ignore the lessons of bloodline, heritage, pedigree, and stability. A mushroom that looked promising but turned out to be toxic. And now he suffers the consequences of contamination. Prince William, on the other hand, chose with wisdom, patience, and discipline. He waited, he examined, he understood that his choice was not just about love, but about legacy. He picked the nourishing mushroom, the stable pedigree, the woman who would strengthen his line, not weaken it. And today, Catherine stands as proof, respected by her nation, admired by the world, flourishing as a pillar of stability in the storm. She's been praised time and time again, and even most recently by President Donald Trump during his state visit to the UK. And who wouldn't be charmed by Catherine, Princess of Wales? Catherine has this power to humble even the most powerful men in the world. How many women do you know can do that other than Princess Diana? And yet, Catherine, in some ways, has surpassed Princess Diana in ways that is just unbelievable. And when I say surpass, I'm not just talking about her love for the nation or having children and all this and that and her charitable work, but I'm talking about being drama-free, scandal-free. You know, if you think about it, Princess Catherine has not had a major misstep at all. Her biggest scandal, and I laugh about it today, is, I mean, this will probably go down in the history book as what was the Princess of Wales' most and biggest scandal ever. It's a badly photoshopped picture for Mother's Day. Think about it. Who in their right mind then at that time thought it was a great idea to ridicule her for it? I mean, I'm sure she probably just laughed, because Catherine does have this side of her who's just kind of like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know. I mean, I photoshopped, and so what? You know, who doesn't Photoshop? I Photoshop. I use AI all the time. You use Photoshop. You blur out your pictures too. You use filters and all that. So really, that's her biggest scandal. And then the other scandals around her, or the other dramas around her, are not even of her own doing. It's people spewing things. And she's so scandal-free and so drama-free, in fact, that even recently, the British media have labeled Prince William and Catherine as boring, you know? Not boring because they're not working. Boring because there's nothing to talk about. They don't have drama. They're always in sync. They're always in love. They're always in tune with each other. They support each other. They move like a rhythm that's just so natural. And they have tried time and time again, and they've realized that, you know what? We can't break these two. We can't break this woman. She won't speak. She won't budge. And William won't speak, and William won't budge either. So, guess what? Never complain, never explain is the motto. And These two model it so well that I'm just amazed. I'm blown away. Not a single leak from these two about their relationship, about their children or this and that. She's a fierce lioness, and he's the Lion of Windsor, as everybody keeps saying. And they protect what's theirs. They protect their family. They protect their legacy, and they will protect their future, their descendants. Why? Because their son will someday be a king as well. So it is their job to inherit a throne, and it is also their job to prepare that throne for their son in the future. So, this is a 360-degree point of view. She is respected and admired by the world. Point. Period. That's it. This is the complete picture. One side, poison and instability. On the other, nourishment and life. On one side, chaos and severed roots. On the other, a tree planted by the waters, unshaken by winds, unbroken by storms and tornadoes and hurricanes and tsunamis. And the lesson for all of us, for you and I and everyone else, whether you are a king or a commoner, whether you hold a throne or live a humble life, the rule of mushrooms still applies. It does apply. And that's why I wanted to share this with you today. Because in life, when we choose partners, sometimes we just think about love. As long as they love each other, as long as this and that, we don't realize sometimes that somewhere down the road, things might come up, and our partner's pedigree, our partner's previous lifestyle or life environment would play a vital role into a marriage, a union, a relationship. Okay? Now, know what is nourishing. Know what is poisonous. Pedigree, legacy, stability, they matter. Ignore them and you invite venom into your life. Honor them and you secure your future. Prince Harry and Prince William have shown us both sides of the coin. One serves as a warning, the other as an example. And in the end, history will remember the contrast between the poisonous mushroom and the tree of life and the pedigree, between the chaos of Meghan and the stability of Catherine, between the reckless heart and the wise heir to the throne. This is not just royal gossip. This is timeless truth. And as history marches forward, it will judge not just what they chose, but what their choices produced. Pedigree lives on in the descendants, for better or for worse. And that, my friend, is the final verdict of legacy. And that brings us to the end of today's commentary. If you stayed with me until the very end, thank you so very much. I truly appreciate your time and your support. Remember, everything we talk about here on this channel is not just about the royals. It's about timeless lessons of life, of history, of wisdom, of legacy, and the choices we make ourselves that echo into the future. If you found this video thought-provoking or even fun to listen to, make sure to give it a like. Leave me your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, subscribe to ChronoRoyals if you haven't already. That way, you'll be the first to know when the next deep dive is released. Until then, take care, stay thoughtful, as always, as ever. Thank you for being part of this journey with me. This is Vespra, signing off.